Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. We have more gaming and PlayStation news, rumours and leaks to go over. If you enjoyed today's video, please show your support by hitting that like button. And a reminder that the first episode of the PlayStation podcast will start this Sunday the 15th of June around about 7 PM in the evening, so keep an eye on the channel for final confirmation. So Konami is back in the spotlight this week with a major announcement. On Thursday, they'll be hosting their press start event where they're set to reveal the new details about two of their most anticipated upcoming games, and that is Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater and Silent Hill F. Now the live stream starts at 2 PM UK time, and if you're in the US that's 6 AM Pacific and 9 AM Eastern time. Unfortunately, I will not be able to stream this live on the channel. However, I will be sure to cover the highlights on tomorrow night's video. Now, the presentation is expected to run for around 37 minutes, so it won't be a long watch, but it should be packed with updates. Let's break down what we do know so far. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater is going to be a full-blown remake of the 2004 Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater game. This isn't just a simple remaster. Konami is rebuilding the game from the ground up for modern systems. Players can expect upgraded visuals with high-resolution cutscenes, brand new character models, and refined gameplay. Interestingly, they're keeping the original voice work from the 2004 release, but it will be delivered through modern tech. Plus, the remake will offer two control systems, a classic mode for longtime fans of the game, and a modern control scheme for newcomers to the game. This remake is scheduled to launch on August 28th, 2025 for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. Now, Silent Hill F is introducing a fresh chapter in the long-running horror franchise. It's a brand new entry set in 1960s Japan in a fictional and fog-covered town called Ebisugoka. The game centers on a high school student named Hinako Shimizu who must survive disturbing nightmarish creatures and resolve complex puzzles as the town unravels around her. This new Silent Hill experience is expected to hit PlayStation 5, Xbox, and PC on September the 25th this year. While much about the gameplay hasn't really been revealed yet, the setting and storyline suggest a unique mix of traditional Japanese horror themes and psychological tension, which is what the franchise is known for. I'm excited to learn more from both of these games. I guess more from Silent Hill F, as it's a new game in the Silent Hill franchise and set in a new location. Whereas I am excited about MGS Snake Eater, but it is a remake of a classic game. Either way, I can't wait for both of these games to come later this year. Let me know, guys, your thoughts in the comments, and let's move on. Sony Bend, the team behind Days Gone, has reportedly laid off around 30% of its staff following the cancellation of a live service game earlier this year. Now, according to Bloomberg's Jason Schreier, around 40 employees lost their jobs in the latest round of layoffs. This comes after Sony cancelled two live service projects earlier this year, one at Bend and another one at Bluepoint Games. While Bluepoint's cancelled title was rumored to be tied to God of War, there's no public information about what Ben was actually working on. The vast majority of the devs who left or who are leaving are contractors or specialists brought in to support with the live service development. Now, this shakeup is part of Sony's broader strategy change. Back in 2022, Sony announced plans to roll out 12 live service games by the end of the fiscal year, March 2026. But now, that plan has been completely scaled back to refocus its efforts back onto single-player games, and Sony Bend's scrapped project is evidence of that change in direction. A few weeks ago, Bend released Days Gone Remastered. The original game was released back in 2019 and was a solid performer. It received decent reviews and developed a loyal fan base. However, despite the success of the game, Sony hasn't approved a sequel. Bend Studio acknowledged the layoffs in a statement on social media, expressing gratitude to the staff who are leaving and emphasizing that the studio is now focusing on a new undisclosed project. So what the next game will be remains a mystery, but knowing that it's not a live service game and that they are focusing on a single-player, story-driven game makes me very happy. I hope the devs who left the studio go on to find new work soon, but I am glad that Bend Studio and Sony in general are going back to focusing on single-player games. I know you and I, guys, have had multiple discussions on the videos and in the comment sections of those videos about going back to single-player games. So exciting news, despite the disappointment of a reduction in workforce at Sony Bend. Anyway, let's move on, guys. During the Xbox Games Showcase, Microsoft's Phil Spencer hinted at a major comeback for one of Xbox's original classics. While he didn't say outright what it was, reports are suggesting that this mystery title is none other than the remaster of Halo Combat Evolved. This would mark the second remaster of the iconic game, The original Halo launched in 2001 alongside the first Xbox console, becoming probably the cornerstone of the platform. It was previously remastered in 2014 as part of Halo the Master Chief Collection on Xbox One. According to Tom Warren of The Verge, this new remaster is set to launch in 2026 as part of Xbox's 25th anniversary celebration. What's even more intriguing is the possibility that it might release on PlayStation 5 as well. If true, that would be a huge milestone for the franchise and further signals Microsoft's growing willingness to bring every one of its games to other platforms. Now, Microsoft bringing Xbox games to PlayStation is no longer a surprise anymore. Recently, Microsoft has released several first-party titles on non-Xbox systems, including Sea of Thieves, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and upcoming Gears of War Reloaded. If Halo joins that list, it could introduce a whole new generation of PlayStation gamers to Master Chief's legendary journey. Of course, nothing is official just yet, so as always, take this with a pinch of salt. But if you're a long-time fan of Halo or just curious about where the franchise goes next, 2026 might be a year to watch out for. Guys, what are your thoughts on Halo coming to PlayStation? Would you be interested in giving this a go? Personally, I would. It was a classic game back in the day on Xbox. Provided the game comes with full data on the disc, then I'd be interested. Otherwise, I'll get it, but I'll wait until it hits sale, then I'll buy it digitally. Because there's no point owning a physical disc with, 50 to 100 megabytes of data, right? So let me know your thoughts down below and let's move on. Now, Sony has added a handy new feature to the PlayStation 5 DualSense controller. There is a small but important update coming your way that can make using the controller across multiple devices a lot less of a hassle. Sony has recently announced out of the blue that a software update for the DualSense is on the horizon, and it's designed to improve how the controller pairs with different platforms. Now, for those who regularly switch between using their PlayStation 5 and a PC, or even a mobile device, you'll know the current setup can be a little bit frustrating. Right now, whenever you use your DualSense controller on something other than your PS5, like for example, if you pair it with a PC, you then have to resync it with your console afterwards by plugging it back in via the USB cable. It's a small step, but it's an annoying one, especially if you're switching constantly. This upcoming update will make that whole process smoother by letting the controller remember multiple paired devices. What this means, in simple terms, is that your DualSense will soon be able to stay connected, or linked rather, to both your PlayStation 5 and your PC without needing to be reconnected every time you switch devices. You'll just be able to use it wherever you want, whenever you want. Sony hasn't given a firm release date just yet for the update. That is something that's coming later this year, but it's definitely a quality of life improvement for players who use the DualSense beyond just the PlayStation ecosystem. While it's not the flashiest new feature, it's one that's likely going to make a big difference for a lot of users. And with Sony continuing to push cross-compatibility and PC gaming support, updates like this show that they are listening to some player feedback, even the smaller details. I just wish they listened to fan feedback about remaking Killzone, Resistance and Infamous. Anyway, that is a discussion for another day, so let's move on. Now let's talk about MindsEye, a game that launched with a lot of hype, but unfortunately not all of it for the right reasons. Now, I streamed this last night on the channel. For those of you who were not able to tune in, we had a couple of technical glitches with the stream, and I had to end the stream earlier than expected, so we were about 90 minutes into the game, and clearly there are some teething problems with this game. I enjoyed my limited time that I had with the game, but I felt it could have really done with a delay. Now, Stephen, who has been a God of War channel member on the channel now for 4 months, thank you so much, bud, for your support on the channel. Now, Stephen asks a question regarding MindsEye. Would I recommend waiting for a patch, or would I recommend buying it now? Well, looking back at my playthrough yesterday, the game could have done with an update, a patch that will fix some of the janking, the floating wigs, random people disappearing in cutscenes. Would I wait for a patch? Yes, I would. Although, not sure when the update or patch is supposed to come out, because there was supposed to be a day one patch. But if there was a day one patch, it certainly hasn't fixed some of those issues that we saw on the stream yesterday. So unless they have another one pretty soon, I'd wait a little while longer. Now, I've played 90 minutes, like I said, and the story so far is okay. Cutscenes are fine. The pulsating sound music, that's great. Some of the shootouts are decent, and driving around is good, but it just needs a little layer of polish. It doesn't feel like it's quite complete. It does from time to time feel like I'm playing a late PlayStation 3 or early PlayStation 4 game. Now, that's not a bad thing, but it doesn't feel like a current generation game in terms of visuals. You know, it doesn't give you that pop and shine that let's say Assassin's Creed, Shadows, The Last of Us, Spider-Man, God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, Horizon, Gran Turismo 7, those games, when you put them in onto your PlayStation 5, they give you that pop. They look stunning, right? This doesn't. That's the difference. So if you're looking to play this game hoping it's going to set some kind of benchmark or standard, it's not. It's not going to be the next best looking game. That's just not going to happen. It's not a bad looking game, but sometimes the visuals don't look great. It's just not on par with some of the games I've already mentioned. I went into this game knowing that the game is going to be fun, but it will have teething issues which will be ironed out over time. It's a fun game, which will get better over time. My comparison would be like No Man's Sky, which was a mess when it launched, but constantly over the years it's been updated consistently with new content, new updates and new patches, and it's absolutely brilliant now. If I was not streaming this game live on the channel for people who were in two minds about the game, personally I would have waited a few weeks or maybe a bit longer until the game had a couple of updates so you get that better initial experience. Having said that, I still would have played the game at some point because it's £50 on launch, which is a lot cheaper than some of the bigger games, although £50 is still expensive, don't get me wrong, and it's a new IP. So from that perspective, I still would have played the game at some stage. From a wider perspective across the gaming industry, people have been saying all kinds of things. So within just a few hours of its release, MindsEye was trending across social media, and rather than players sharing impressive gameplay or cool features, most of the attention was focused on bugs, glitches, and serious performance problems. Videos quickly popped up online showing some pretty rough issues. Players encountered everything from stuttering and frame rate drops to broken animations and bizarre visual glitches, like characters with oddly stretched bodies or distorted faces. Now, I believe a lot of those issues were on either PC or on Xbox, which did not actually have a day one patch. It wasn't ready. So people who played this game on PC and Xbox faced even more problems than those who were playing it on the PlayStation platform. Still not acceptable. Let's be honest, in this day and age, still not acceptable that games are coming out like this. I can never defend a game that comes out like this. So I want to put that marker in the ground. It's not acceptable. All right, games should never be released like this. So naturally, after the game launched, the community started questioning whether the game was ready to be released at all. Many users felt the game should have been delayed, especially given its current condition. There were also complaints that the price tag didn't match the quality of what players were getting. On Steam, the reviews currently sit at mixed rating, reflecting the community's divided feelings. A lot of the negative feedback focuses on technical performance and what appears to be a lack of polish. But it's not all bad. Some players have praised the game's concept and storyline, suggesting that MindsEye has the potential to become something great if the technical side gets cleaned up, which is exactly my sentiment about the game. The game's official Discord server has been active with similar discussions, with many players talking about the game's high hardware requirements, unstable frame rates, and what some are calling an unfinished feel. Even so, there's a sense of cautious optimism in some corners of the community, with players hoping that future patches will bring the game up to a better standard. Looking at the numbers, MindsEye launched with a peak of just over 3,500 players on Steam. That number dropped significantly within hours, with under 1,000 people still playing the game at the time of this report. That's a sharp decline for a brand new release. In response to the feedback, developer Build A Rocket Boy released a public statement on the game's subreddit. They acknowledged a rough launch and confirmed that the team is actively working to improve the game's performance on both PC and consoles. They also admitted that the current minimum specs are higher than most players expected, and they said they would be sharing more details about upcoming patches very soon. While the game's launch has definitely been rocky, there's still some hope that it can bounce back over time. If the developers follow through with performance fixes and optimizations quick, and I mean pretty quick, MindsEye might still find its footing. Some players believe the core of the game is solid, it's just buried under layers and layers of bugs and unfinished features. So guys, let me know your thoughts overall about MindsEye and also any of the other content discussed in the video today. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.